Good Wednesday afternoon to you. Welcome to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH. It's a pleasure to be with you and a pleasure to be with my partner, Jason Gaunt, Sanchez Gaunt Capital Management. Notice his name is in the name,
Yeah,
the name of the business.
it's a word. It
It's
means
a
thin
word.
and emaciated. Gaunt. Yes,
Is there a
I get it all the
definition
time.
to it?
How do you spell that? I'm like, it's a word. It's like in the dictionary there.
What is it? What's the definition of it?
Gaunt is thin, like emaciated, someone who's drawn, malnourished.
You're going to
That's what
look when you're about 80
gaunt. Yes,
or
yes.
when the stock market corrects really bad.
Right, right, exactly. When the market's down 6% in a vacuum,
Right,
um,
right.
you know. So I want to jump right in here real quick.
All right. Well, you get to say
I'm
it. Go ahead.
seeing more and more and more, and I'm not telling listeners pro con up down sideways, but I literally just got a text on my phone about be ready for the stock market crash of 2027 or 6. Like there's a lot of prognosticators out there, and I was just wondering sort of what your thought is, as I know you're seeing similar things. Is this eye candy? Is it true? What? Not true. I mean, obviously, we're not sages, but I'm just saying. Do you feel like you're getting a lot more of that as well? At least from
I'm
folks.
not yet.
Okay.
I'm not yet. There's as we joke between the two of us, there's a reason that we have gray hair, right? We didn't get this for lack of experience. And how do you put value? And I'm not saying this, folks, please, I'm not saying this to brag, but these are the facts. I don't care if you're talking about your financial advisor, your doctor, whoever it is. You don't get gray hairs and do something for, combined between the two of us, 50 plus years and not get a little, using Jason's term, spidey senses, right? What are you feeling? Because you can read the charts, you can hear, you can read, you can do all that, but nothing will ever take the place. And is it always right? No, but nothing will ever take the place of years of experience. So, Jason, to your point, this is why you and I, again, to use a marine analogy, have been kind of firing some of these shots across the bow that something is lurking out there. And I'll tell you what, brother, I don't know if you had a chance to read it because you and I were so slammed today, but I sent you an article this morning from
I
Bloomberg.
did. I did. That was
Yeah,
good.
bringing this exact topic up. Again, my experience, just like yours, tell me if you agree or
Mm.
disagree, is when you start getting the Bloombergs of the world, the CNBCs, the various influential money managers, and so on and so forth, just dropping these little hints, pay attention to them. They may be off in as far as, next year, this year, maybe 2027. But what I'm saying, I'll cut right to the chase. When something happens with one of these major technology powerhouses, and I'm not picking one, but I'm going to throw some names out of defining what I mean by a major powerhouse. The NVIDIAs, the Intels, the OpenAIs, which of course are not publicly traded yet, the Microsofts, the Googles, the Metas, any of these major companies that are spending billions, if not hundreds of billions in AI, all it's going to take, like we got a taste of it yesterday, Oracle. What happened? This company called The Information dug deep into Oracle financials and went, you only have a 14% profit margin on your AI business. That's way below what anybody thought you were making. And I went, oh, and what happened? Oracle stock sold off just a couple bucks. It was no big deal.
Well, it's
But
down
all
7% right as the news came out, but yeah, it
right,
rallied back to
right.
much
But
much
all it's
better.
going to
Yeah.
take, and it rose back a bit today, but all it's going to take is one of those type of stories to be true. Or you get a company that comes out and goes, we're downgrade, we're lowering our earnings expectation. One of these pure AI type of plays, we're lowering our earnings expectation. In other words, we're not making money in AI yet. Then the house of cards will begin to fall. And that's exactly what this Bloomberg story went on to talk about, was even more in detail. Did you see that diagram? Where you've got these arrows going from NVIDIA's in the center, and you've got all these arrows pointing to OpenAI and all these, advanced micro devices and OpenAI and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's all intertwined. It's like a big spider web. And all it's going to take is one of these companies or something to happen, and they will come tumbling. I hope to God it doesn't, but you and I touched on this on Monday. Is it going to be 1999 all over again, the dot-com bust? I think it will be at some point, and then it's going to clear the field. All these little companies and stuff, they're going to be gone. You'll be left with the big boys. That some of the names I just mentioned, in my opinion. But then it'll clean house, and then they'll start building it up again. Sorry for the long-winded answer, but
No,
you
that's
know I'm
the answer I
passionate
was
about
looking
that.
for. Yeah, I mean,
You know,
and that's what
we have already taken, thanks to you, corrective, oh,
certain
both
I
of us,
mean,
I guess I'll take a little credit, some
oh, it was you.
corrective defensive action in our internal portfolios, and some, some of the things that we do, because you never know when this is gonna happen. And so, yes, to your point, I do. So
Yeah.
now it's your
And
turn.
remember, like, 2000, as odd as it looks, you look on a chart and it was this big versus the longer run.
Yes,
You know,
that's right.
the the names that do what they do and go down 70% could be 30 baggers off of the
Mhm.
low. It's just a matter of, looking inside of your portfolio, everyone, and saying, if this thing fell 50, 60, 70%, do I still think I would continue to love it? Right.
Mhm.
Whereas you love your spouse despite any,
I hate when guys
certainly,
like you say that,
yeah.
and I
But
said that
because
jokingly.
but the
No,
thought
no,
is
I just
but
had
you
deja vu.
won't,
I
but
just
you
had deja
won't.
vu.
Right.
Do you remember
Yeah.
how many analysts said that in the
Yeah.
dot-com bubble burst? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh,
And
man.
again, if you, I mean, I don't know what the
If
number
you
off the
love
top of
it
my
at
head, but I mean,
100, you're gonna love it at 10.
Amazon's had what, 80% drawdowns since
Yeah.
it started, right? Like, they happen. And so either have tight sell stops, which is something that you get just closer to where you own the stock or where it currently is now. You can put a sell stop and read about it. There's sell stop limits versus sell stop orders. I'm not telling you to do either, but go do your research before you enter any kind of order, but always use limits. Start to keep tighter bands on your trades, not
Mhm.
necessarily your investments. Because remember, investments are things that, like your house, if your house goes down 50%, you're probably not going to just sell it, right? Unless you're forced to. But certain stocks, right, they may be leases. You think, oh, I love this thing. And then when it's down 35% in your face, I promise you may love it a heck of a lot less. It's probably
Yes.
more of a trade.
Yes.
Times were like this when volatility, even VIX at 16 right now, markets are
Everyone's asleep.
calm. Yeah,
Yep. Everyone's
they can
asleep right
get
now.
uncalm pretty quickly, and so I think just keeping a close eye on some of those more speculative trades
It
is
will
a
take
is a is idea.
great advice. And again, it will take one bad story, one bad earnings report, one bad something, and everybody, you remember, Jason's old world of the hedge fund world. Those are the big boys, right? They can dump things faster than you and I can blink an eye, right? Right, Jason? I mean,
Yeah,
you're long 1 million shares of XYZ company, and you guys go, "This is bad." Press the
gone.
button. Yeah, you're gone. You're gone, and everyone else is left holding the bag. I mean, that's the big boy side and the unfair side of Wall Street. Those the big boys, they can move so fast while you're hard at work in the office, and you look at your phone and you go, is I mean, I remember this in 99 2000, Jason. People would go, and that's when cell phones first really came out, and they're like, is this right that you know uh, pets.com went from 75 this morning when I went to work, and it's now down to $20? I
Yeah,
mean, oh my gosh, right when we're in the thick of things. Yeah, it can happen. And to conclude, Jason, this Bloomberg article, I think one of the biggest takeaways that I extracted from it was everyone's right now is going, but this time is different. Right? How many times
there's
have
a
you and I
lot
heard
of
that in our
those.
career?
Yes,
This time is different. But the article brought up an excellent point, and that was this. This time is different, but for the negative. And that is number one, you've got so many different levels of money being lent and borrowed and so on and so forth, but you also have huge sums of money. Vincent Wong, the great interview this morning, 15-20 minute interview on CBC.com. Highly recommend you listen to it. But he even said, and don't quote me to the exact amount, but God, what did he say? It was like 30 or 40 billion it's costing to get a data processing center up and running. I mean, if you look at everything, folks, this is what scares me. These are not small numbers, right? This isn't some kid starting grocery.com in the basement of his house. These are physical assets, right? These massive 100, 200 acre data centers that are out there, and the chips that people are borrowing and leasing money and on and on. There's a lot of tangible assets that are invested in this new technology where we didn't have that in the .com. I shared a story with Jason the other day. I was I started in radio in 1997 when I lived in Bakersfield, and then when I went independent in '99, I really got serious about the radio side of it, and I formed a California corporation. It was called StockTalkAmerica.com, and I had this beautiful stock certificate sitting in my office, and I can't even remember how many hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions of shares that I created when I formed this corporation worth 0.00001. And the reason I'm bringing that story up, Jason's laughing right now, is that's what happened in the .com era, right, Jason? You would start something and all you had to do is put .com at the end, and whether you're publicly traded or not, it's like everyone's just throwing their money.
They put
Please take my money,
.ai
right?
after it now.
Yep, now it's AI after it. Yes. Oh man, you got me jumped right into this thing. I
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to even warm up. I feel like I just, ran the 26 miles and we're only first segment into the show.
We can stretch during the break, and then we'll,
I will
come
stretch
out
during the
and
break
we'll
and get
start
some
doing
coffee.
some warm up.
All right. Well, we got a lot of things to talk to you about. Market was decent today. Jason will give us his great recap when we come back. But let me tell you our topic after the stock market recap. You think about this, folks, and you hear us chat about this. And those of you that are in retirement, I'm sure you'd be shaking your head if I could see you right now. And that is this: retirement is supposed to be your reward, right? For all those years of hard work and waking up to an alarm clock, etc. But what we're going to be talking about this afternoon is this: what if that retirement is not with your loved one, i.e., your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, but you have to do it alone? This is what we call solo retirement. So, this afternoon, what we're going to do is we're going to explore this topic with you, the solo retirement. We're going to go over the emotional, the financial, the lifestyle changes facing many of you, right? Remember this. What do they call it, Jason? The gray divorce or something like that. How many people, huge percentage that get divorced after 50, they never remarry again. They're the solo retiree. They're the ones that are going to go through it. I mean, that's just part of society with the high divorce rate and stuff. But what we're going to do, and we're going to lay this out, and many of you are going to shake your head. Yeah. But most importantly, we're going to tell you, how do you get through this, right? How do you build a strong, independent, and joyful retirement without that partner by your side? It can be done. But once again, we're going to give you some great steps to do that. So the solo retirement will be our topic here shortly. But first, let's turn it over to Jack Saban. He's got news, traffic, and weather. Hello, Jack. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with Jason Gaunt. All right, here's how we finished up. A whopping, I hope you're sitting down, folks, a whopping 1 point loss on the S&P 500, on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. See, I'm screwing up. First of all, I should stop. I need to apologize to Kristen and Jack. Well, again, why did I say Kristen or Jack was going to be doing traffic? I have no clue. So I do apologize to both of you. I love you both. All right, now let's rephrase on the market side of things. You just got me so fired up, Jason. I got to
I
gather
did.
my thoughts.
It's my fault,
No,
actually.
I love it, man. Love when you do that. All right, so once again, 1 point loss on the Dow. 46,601 was our closing level. But guess what, folks? Oh, enjoy it while we can. A record-setting day again for the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. Nice day on your NASDAQ, Jay. 255 gain, 1.12%, 23,043. NASDAQ up 38.58% to a finish of 6,753. On the commodity side, we gained 83 cents on oil, 62.54 or 57 a barrel, excuse me. Okay, Jay, I'm going to stop on. Well, let me hit the bond market. I want to come back to gold. Goose egg on 10-year treasury. Have you noticed how the bond market's been really quiet since the government's been shut down? It's like,
It's amazing.
none of these bond traders want to do anything without any government reports. It's kind of nice.
They get
Anyways, gold.
Columbus Day off too, those jerks.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, we do. I know. I was
It's not
talking to a
fair.
friend in the banking business today. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to be here on Monday."
Yeah,
He goes,
great.
I said, "Why?" And he
Because
goes,
Columbus
"Columbus."
liked bonds. He did not like
Yeah,
stocks. That's an unknown little fact, but it's
yeah,
true. He used to
yeah.
talk a lot about bonds when he was sailing across whatever.
Well, all I know is I looked on our calendar because the staff did not mark it off. I'm like, darn it. Then I went to the New York Stock Exchange and nope, we're working on Monday. So,
I have
anyways,
Googled NYSE market holiday
yeah.
more times than I can tell you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. All right, let's talk gold very quickly, and then we'll get to our topic, the solo retirement. $66.70 gain on gold, $4,040.40 an ounce. Lay it on the audience, my friend. What the heck is happening?
I mean, it's just like I said, it's all the things. It's got momentum. It's got all the themes that you can get behind as far as concerns about governments and debt and all sorts of things. The only thing I'd point out is if you really look at correlation, the dollar has been strengthening over the last week or two. It looks like it wants to go higher, which means stronger dollar historically correlates to lower gold prices, right? And so keep an eye out for it. Again, I'm not calling the top of gold or anything, but watch the momentum there that people, once you get to these big round numbers, you tend to get a little bit of a chase. But if the dollar starts moving higher, it will cause gold weakness. It's just going to be a matter of time. So watch the DXY index. That's what I follow for the dollar. It's here at 98.85. But yen's been weak, euro's been weak. So just keep an eye on that for all those gold bugs. Silver's been strong too. So it's just momentum. It fits every single panic theme you can have right now and keeps going higher.
I'm sorry if I uttered something while you were doing that great summary, but I got to bring this up. I just got a news alert from one of our industry issues. Doesn't look like it's breaking news. I just went to cnbc.com. Story's 2 hours old, but let me pause real quick, Jay. Title is IRS furloughs nearly half of its workforce due to the government shutdown. The IRS today said it was furloughing nearly half of its workforce due to the ongoing government shutdown. Now, let me pause right there. For those of you that file your taxes on April 15th, you don't care about this, right? You're probably cheering. But for those of us in business that we file extensions, early taxes are due, etc., this is significant. So let me continue. About 34,000 IRS workers are being furloughed, according to the tax agency. Another 39,870 employees, representing 53.6% of the workforce, will remain on the job. Due to the lapse in appropriations, most IRS operations are closed, the agency said today. IRS wide furlough began October the 8th for everyone already identified except for exempt employees. Employees who are not exempt or exempted are furloughed and placed on a non-pay and non-duty status until further notice. Holy moly. However, all employees should plan to report to work for their next tour of duty. Furloughed IRS workers were told in a letter that they will receive back pay when the shutdown ends. Don't know if they can clearly say that, because that's one of the big issues, folks, in this government shutdown, as we've been talking about. Congress has to vote on paying everybody back. It's not a guarantee. That's what Trump keeps threatening. And if you look at the law, when the government was shut down again last time in 2018, they made it a new law that if a government shutdown occurs again, when Congress comes back, appropriates the funds, they have to put certain verbiage in there that the government employees are going to get their back pay. That right now is missing. And this is why this is a very serious situation. Whether you like the government, you hate the government, whatever the case is, there's a good chance that you could have, hundreds of thousands of workers that never get paid. I don't think that'll happen. I think eventually they will. But, Jason, I'm sure you've seen it. There's a lot of stories floating around right now where people are really, especially like military people and things, they're really starting to hurt because they had a paycheck that was due, I think, yesterday or the day before. They didn't get it. And they got another one due like in a week. Unless government's back, they're not going to get that one either. So now you're seeing the IRS go. Jason, this is a serious situation also. We had this discussion last week if this was ever going to happen with Dwight of Highlands Mortgage, kind of, again, looking into the crystal ball, that what happens if the IRS shuts down? And he said it's a disaster, John, because they can't get tax transcripts, which are required for a mortgage. The lending world basically comes to a halt, right? And so on and so forth. So, but anyways, this last thing, and then we'll go to break. Furloughed IRS workers were told in the letter they'll receive back pay when the shutdown ends. The letter came a day after the internal draft memo suggested that the Trump administration might question its obligations, there it is, to give back pay to some furloughed employees. Furloughs, yeah, on and on. They already had a mass layoff there, reduced its workforce by about 25% from 100,000 down to 75,000 now. And now you just furloughed, half of that 75, so the 34,000 now. See,
Maybe he'll suggest a flat tax, and then we can just get rid of the rest of them.
would that just be something? Holy All right. Well, there's that breaking news there. Okay, my friend. You're up to date on the market. You said everything you wanted to say. Now
Yeah,
we're going to switch
absolutely.
gears and talk about solo retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Different world, folks. If you're going to find yourself in retirement due to loss of a loved one, a divorce, something like that, there's going to be some things you need to be thinking about a little bit differently. And we're going to be right here by your side helping you do that. That's what we do for Northern Nevada. All right, let's turn it over now to Jack Saban, who's got news, traffic, and weather. Hello, Jack. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on Newstalk 780 KOH with Jason Gaunt. Once again, our topic we're going to delve into now, the solo retirement. Once again, we lost one on the Dow. Record close for the S&P and the NASDAQ. NASDAQ gaining 255, S&P higher by 39. All right, let's talk about solo retirement. What the heck am I talking about? Well, again, this is what many in society are facing these days, either due to divorce, as I'll share with you a stat, or B, the loss of a loved one. Or, Jason, I don't know about you, but I periodically still come across people that have never been married in their life for whatever reason they want to. They're not gay, they're not a lesbian. They just I just enjoy being by myself. I don't need anybody in my life, right? Do you come across that very often?
I do, yeah. I mean, I know that millennials, et cetera, are waiting a heck of a lot longer to get married, right? Trying to more life experiences and things. But clearly the topic tonight is more on the other side of that coin of,
Yes.
older folks that make either make the decision to separate or get divorced, or even sort of to your point, decide not to break into jail in the first place, you know?
Right. Right.
I had a guy that I worked with who used to always use that line, and it was the funniest thing ever. Someone would
Yeah.
tell him, "Oh, I'm getting married," and they'd be like, "Why are you breaking into jail?" So I had to
I'm not
throw it
going
in
to
there.
touch
Shout
that
out to
one.
Dan Farrell. Love the guy.
There you go. There you go. I'm not going to touch that one. All right. So if you look at the statistics, um, and I'm trying to give you the source other than just, via AI, but based upon 2019 data, and I've seen this few sites. So again, I can't give you a specific source, but I think this is very accurate. About 36% of all divorces in the US involve at least one adult age 50 or older. So roughly a third, right? This is kind of go with that. Okay. So the odds are, many of you, if you're already not there, you could find yourself living a solo retirement. So what Jason and I put together for you is this: a 10-point checklist of not only what these challenges are that a solo retiree faces, but most importantly, what the solutions are. Jason, I'll take the first one. All right, so here's our challenge. Okay, we're going to call these challenges. So the topic is financially vulnerable on a single income strain. Okay, so what's the challenge? Only one social security check, no shared housing expenses. And then you can really say no shared expenses anywhere, right? You got a higher per person expense, makes, of course, solo retirement even much more expensive than if you had two incomes coming in. And we all know if you have two people in the household, doesn't mean your expenses double. But if you have two incomes, that feels really nice. So what's our solution to financial vulnerability? Solution is this, like we harp on all the time: create a detailed cash flow plan using very conservative assumptions. Maybe delay Social Security until the maximum age is 70 so you can maximize that monthly benefit. Build multiple streams of income, as we always preach. Dividends, annuities, rentals, part-time businesses, part-time consulting, whatever the case may be. And also consider long-term and guaranteed income products for peace of mind. Right. Last thing you want to do, right, Jason? Boy, this is stories I could share on this one. You're by yourself in retirement and you got everything subjected to the market and you have a major market correction and now you're facing a 30-40% decline, which can happen very easily, and you're going, oh my god, I have nothing to fall back on, right? I don't have a spouse's social security check coming in, or maybe there's spouse was still working or anything. It's all on your shoulders. And so you got to be very, very careful of that. And I guess we could say, you may want to consider being a little bit more conservative in your investments and very diversified, etc., when you are solo.
Yeah. Right. Or, flip the other way and be incredibly aggressive because
And
it's
you have
all
nobody
on
to
you.
answer to.
And yeah,
There you
yeah.
go.
But yeah, it is. Typically when we're using 85% of costs if someone passes away. So at least shows you, yeah, I mean, it's not 50-50. It's more expensive to live on your own
Yes.
because, you probably not buying half of the house or driving half of the car that you normally would if
Mhm.
you were married. You've got a car, and sometimes lots of families only have one.
Well, let's take it a little bit deeper, brother, and that is when it comes income tax time. Run your taxes as joint versus running it as single, and watch
Mhm,
and see.
mhm, and
It is a huge difference for
that's
many,
a huge
especially in high
shock that
income
people need to
brackets.
be aware of too, of
Yes,
someone passing away or a divorce.
that's right.
Year 2, your income tax bucket changes a lot,
Yep.
so be keen and
Or
aware
it
of that.
depends upon what time of the year you got a divorce, whether you're going to be able to file a single or a joint, and also if you sell a home, a primary residence where you enjoy that $500,000 tax exclusion if you're married. Well, guess what? I won't go into the rules right now. Talk to your CPA or give us a call at the office. But if you're getting divorced early part of the year, you could potentially be viewed as, well, let me rephrase this. You could be married through like roughly 3/4 of the year, but because you got a divorce before a certain day or certain month of the year, IRS looks at it as if you were divorced the entire year, meaning you only get the $250,000 tax exclusion versus 500,000.
Interesting. That's news to me. I didn't know that. I thought you got
The
to
only reason I
choose.
know it is because it hit me. It hit me.
Listen to the Jon Sanchez show. We will speak
Yes.
from experience, folks.
Real
That's
life
really what.
experience. That's right. All right, let's go to number 2. No automatic advocate or decision maker, right? We all love to talk to people. Jason and I were chatting about this during the break. How nice it is to be able to talk to your spouse or your business partner, having someone to talk to, right? So the challenge when you're a solo retiree is without a spouse, there's no built-in, power of attorney, no healthcare proxy, no executor to make the critical decisions, no one to really bounce ideas off of. But when we talk the financial side, and you notice I'm kind of leaning on the estate planning side when I mentioned power of attorney, healthcare proxy. Those are things, of course, most people, hopefully you will have you've done your estate plan. Most likely you will name your spouse to be that power of attorney or that healthcare decision maker or executor or so on and so forth. You don't have a spouse, guess what? Now you got to go outside, that box. So what is the solution when it comes to no automatic advocate or decision maker? Here's what we like to say. Choose a trusted friend. Choose someone that's got some good business experience. Choose a relative. I'm not too keen on that one for various reasons. You can also hire a professional fiduciary, right? Legally, document the powers of attorney, the healthcare directives, the successor trustees, all of these things, again, through a solid estate plan. And please, folks, review them, update them annually, especially if you have major life changes going on. You buy an asset, you get rid of an asset, all these different life trigger events. That trust needs to be reviewed and in many cases amended. Boy, Jason, this is a serious one. You and I are very serious when it comes to our clients about estate planning. And man, oh man, you don't have this in there and it could be a disaster,
It's
especially if you die
becoming
intestate
more and more
prematurely.
important too, day by day, having that
Yes, it
estate
is.
planning, trusts, et cetera. So yeah.
You bet.
Um,
All right. So go
what do
ahead.
we yeah, we got time. Hey,
Yeah, I know.
home maintenance, right? That's something too, right? That
Oh, that's a good point.
oftentimes is
Yeah, you're
something
right.
that, someone you
Unless you
don't
have a
have
wife
2
that's
people
more
doing the
handy than
work.
you are.
Even though it does tend to fall to one of the 2 anyway, she may like to do it or he may like to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but it all falls on you. If you're solo, and that's something that it gets
I got.
harder as you get older
I
too,
got
and
to tell
that's
you, I
yep.
felt like less of a man today at about 1 o'clock than I did at 12:45.
Ooh, do tell.
Came out of my office. My wife was changing the toilet seat lids. I'm like, this is really bad. I didn't even have time to do this, and my wife is doing this, and she got it done. And she can do a lot of things like
Did you
that.
get
So
the squishy ones or did
yeah,
you
no, 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 I
oh,
can't stand those. No,
okay.
reminds me of being in a retirement home.
Being at grandma's house?
Yes, being at grandma's
The
house.
auto lids though, those
Right,
are a
right, right.
must, right?
Yeah, just don't give me a bidet. All right, number 3, greater burden of home maintenance. Like Jason just mentioned, you struggle. I'll let you continue down this path. I thought you were done, but yeah, go
Yeah,
finish down this one.
I think we covered it. It's
Okay.
sort of along the lines, unless you've got a wonderful, a
No,
wife or a
another story on
maintenance.
that. No, I won't. I skip that one. All right, number 4 before we go to break. Loneliness and social isolation. Boy, this is a serious one. Living alone, and studies have shown this, folks, can lead to depression, poor health, cognitive decline. I'm not a doctor, medical or psychic type of person, but I've seen it happen with family members. I've seen it happen. I know when my mom died, years ago, and he had about a 2-year time period, Jason, before he remarried. I was very concerned about that as a son, as I know my siblings were also. You think about it, you're staring at these 4 walls all by yourself, and you have nobody to talk to. You got no one to help you again if you trip and fall. So there's a lot of things, and ultimately it leads to that depression. And we know depression can sometimes kill people, right? So solution with this, very simple. Get yourself up, right? You hear Jason and I talk all the time. Have a reason to get out of bed when you're in retirement. What is my reason to get out of bed? Proactively schedule social routines, join clubs, volunteer, take classes, mentor people, do whatever you want to do. Get into dinner groups. Use technology. We have this great thing called Zoom and other, video type of programs. Meet up with people. They don't need to be in your backyard anymore. They can talk to kids anywhere around the world or your friends. And so just that connection alone. I mean, think about what we all went through in COVID. We all felt a lot of isolation, and it was not healthy. Remember that, Jason? A lot of people, were committing suicide and getting addicted to drugs and alcohol because of that loneliness. And this is a very serious situation when it comes to solo retirement. You got to be involved and keep yourself, both your mind and your body, of course, active. All right. We'll come back to point number 5. Let's turn it over to Kristen Snow, Right Now Traffic Center. See, Kristen, I got it right this time. See? Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show. All right, we're talking about the solo retirement. I was putting my finger up to
I know. Well, hey, these are all
You're
planning
so
tools that we
excited.
use, so we're talking about them. You get a real behind the scenes. Come on
Yeah,
in, you
that's
can
it.
see us. Yeah.
That's it. All right. Again, 10 challenges of solo retirement. Number 1, we said the financial vulnerability, right? You single income strain, no automatic advocate or decision maker, no one to bounce ideas off of. And again, when you find yourself incapacitated physically, mentally, you don't have anybody, but what do? Yeah, again, this is where you build your network of trusted friends, fiduciaries, professional fiduciaries, etc. Number 3, the greater burden of home maintenance, that stands alone. The loneliness and isolation, another challenge. Let's go to number 5. Higher cost of healthcare, right? And specifically, I'm talking about um, long-term care, right? You have no built-in caregiver. And this is a big challenge. Sends shivers up my spine more, Jason, when we're dealing with one of our widows, man or woman, and they said, "No, I don't need long-term care. My son promised me he was going to change my diaper when if I got to that point," and on and on. I'm like, please don't put that burden on your children, right? Plan
Yeah.
ahead. Plan ahead. When you're by yourself in a solo retirement, you got to plan ahead for in-home care, the assisted living, research continue to research uh, communities, right? There are some phenomenal communities here in Northern Nevada. It's like living in an apartment complex, but man, you got, all kinds of activities and people to talk to and exercise rooms and stuff. They're great. But, as we're a big advocate of, the long-term care insurance is something many of you should consider if you're going to find yourself in this situation. The cleaning, how about this? It's not a bad idea to think about and talk to your financial advisor about budgeting in someone to help you clean, maybe run some errands. Or you're going to get to a point. We have one client that's in his 90s. I'll just say Howard, Jason, so you know who I'm talking about. Guy's over 90 and he just lost his license like in the last year or so, right? So most people don't want to be driving it, in their 80s or 90s. And so you need a little bit of help there because you don't have that spouse that does it. Take on number 6, my man.
Yeah, the and you've touched on this in several of the topics is the emotional resilience, your identity. Who are you? Sometimes when we talk to ourselves, we end up going into a death spiral in terms of negativity or excess positivity. Right? It's tough to not have a center of some kind that So you got to make sure to you go out and put yourself out there where you're able to interact with folks, if it's mentoring or teaching or heck gardening or clubs or you name it, just kind of getting out there to make sure that you have a reason to get out of bed and a reason to do what you
Yes.
do, especially in your later years. So it's really
You
important to
know,
have that identity.
I I have seen this, Jason, with more so. Well, I guess I can say I've seen it with divorcees and widows, and that is after you get past the trauma and the emotional, maybe financial shock of going into retirement as a solo. The ones that I see that end up one day they wake up and they kind of grasp it, right? They're like, you know what? There's nothing I can do about it. Again, divorce or death, nothing I can do about it. But what I can do is I can change my attitude and go, you know what? This is my new, I'm turning over a leaf, to use that saying, right? This is my new lease on life. I've always wanted to, as you said, join a club or do whatever I wanted to do. Now you have that chance. And it's amazing how you can make it through on the solo side, taking that attitude versus, I mean, I miss my spouse, death or divorce, whatever the case is. That's a human emotion. But if you, again, the mental side comes in, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go get some professional help when it comes to that, especially on the divorce side of things. The last ones that we have, the estate legacy and end of life planning, very important when you're in a solo retirement. Again, work with estate planning services, etc. Autonomy and flexibility. Again, independence can feel liberating, but also, as we said, it can be somewhat on the scary side. Get involved on the community connection side. And then insurance and longevity risk. A long life is a blessing, but at the same time, without a partner's income, it can be financially devastating, right? So the last thing that I want to kind of leave you with, and I'll wrap it up with Jason, is this. The key to thriving in a solo retirement, the key to thriving in a solo retirement isn't doing it all by yourself. You have to plan ahead, surround yourself by people that you trust, that you love, and living with purpose every single day. Those are
Amen.
the way that we summarize everything.
Not much more
Well
I can
said.
say. Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
pretty darn
I
good.
love it. I like being able to keep Jason. That tells me I did a good
Yeah,
job when he
shuts me
doesn't have
up. Yeah,
anything to
he
add,
does.
which is rare. That was a lot of fun. God bless everybody. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow on the Jon Sanchez